I just want to say a huge thank you to all three of you for coming along today, Jonathan, Can and Helen. Jonathan is from T.Rowe Price, then we've got Can and Helen from IDBS. We'll start with you, Jonathan. But yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you to both companies for coming along and sponsoring this event. Without your sponsorship, this event wouldn't happen. And what it also means is the sponsorship has allowed us to pay for every single person taking part in this festival to be paid, which is something that we are incredibly proud with. That means every single person who is running a session, every single person who is a panelist, an MC for the panel, our CV reviewers, our moderators, every single person has been paid. Is something that we felt really passionate about when we discussed putting this event on, and it's something that we think more people in tech should be doing. And so we are setting that standard that more people should be doing it. And what we're saying is that if we can do it as a charity, then companies can also do that as well. And it's also our way of also giving back to oh, my name is pronounced like John, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
And it's our way of also trying to give back to our community. And so, yeah, so without the sponsorship of both of these companies, that wouldn't be possible. And so, yeah, the biggest thank you. And it pays for, you know, Hopin and various other codebar things as well. So a huge thank you. That's enough from me. I will be quiet now and hand over to Jonathan. And what we'll do is we'll have Jonathan talk, and then we'll have John and Helen talk, and then I will open up the floor to questions to both of them, and then we can spend, you know, half an hour or so answering questions for both of them. So a huge thank you, and I'll hand over to you, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You can still hear me, right? Excellent. All right, it's been a pleasure to represent T.Rowe at this event. This isn't the first one we've done. We got brought into the fold with some of the codebar chapters that are happening in London. Some of the people that work at T.Rowe are coaches on there, including myself, and we're very pleased to partner and help and support in every way that we can with regard to this. I'm just trying to move my slides on. I'll try not to. Oops, there we go. So what is T.Rowe? I've only got a few slides, and I'm just going to sit on one slide about technology because I know that is key part of why everyone is here today. So just a little bit about T.Rowe. We are an independent investment management firm. That is what it is that we do. By the numbers, we've got around 1.4 trillion USDs under management. So that's assets under management. We operate in around 51 countries. And we have nearly actually 8,000 associates globally. And we are growing and attending these events and sponsoring these events such that we can grow the diversity of the people and the associates that we have working within our company. There's a little map of all places where we are. I'm based out of London. Some of my counterparts are based out in New York, and we have quite a lot of the technology space working out of Owings Mills and Baltimore in the US. But you can see that we're across the globe, and we're certainly growing as we look to take our business further. We're here to, you know, work for clients, acting with integrity, accountability, being risk aware, cultivating curiosity and innovation. And I work within the global technology space, and we're looking to drive innovation through everything that we do, and very much embrace diversity, equity, inclusion, and collaboration across all of the associates that work at T.Rowe, and also our partners that we work with to you know, provide some of the services and products that we do to our customers. Lots of words on this one, but you know, attracting diverse talent, engaging associates, you know, sustaining culture of collaboration. These are things that I feel passionate about. From a technology perspective, we need to drive this forward. And this is one of the reasons why we sponsor this event and other things that codebar.io have done. So this is a slide I'm gonna sit on. So I work within global technology. I've worked with T.Rowe for 2 or 3 years now, or 3 years in May. And we're growing the technology footprint. We're growing the number of engineers and application devs that work within our company. And if you look at these screens here, it just makes me think of some of the sessions that we've had already at codebar.io. Ambersand, overcoming failure, to design, to write, to program, to deliver and make these screens and these dashboards of data to traders, to people that are looking to take data in and then make a choice in terms of how they progress forward with our business. People have, devs, including myself, have definitely failed to try and get this up and running, but through failure we can improve. It's an education thing, and we can look to provide some of the right things to the customers. And that links back to Jan Mollock's impact mapping session yesterday. He talked about making sure you're focusing on the right thing and delivering value to our clients. And so impact mapping is important. We don't want to write something that actually we don't get the most value from, and it enables us to focus our efforts on producing the right things and the right IT software so that we can make better choices. There was also the semantic versioning piece, how to manage releases. That was an excellent talk, I thought, and that is very much, part of what we do. Every time we release something to the production environment, it's important that we've got everything versioned. We know what version is there, what version is live, and so that was a great talk. The other one was the Unity Bird game. That I saw, and what was brilliant about that session, and I can't remember the name of the person who presented, so apologies, but what was awesome was that we saw debugging in action. It wasn't working quite the way it should. Some of I can't remember what they were called, some of the vines that the bird was trying to navigate through weren't quite coming across the screen as expected, but you work through it. You find an issue, you fail to get that moving across the screen. You just continue to look at it and read the code, try things, try it again, fail again, and then try something else. And then in the end, we got there and we managed to get the bird flying through. And things like that is part of the journey of coding and application dev work in everything that we do. The Rust session yesterday as well. Some of the dashboards you see up here. We've got a team within the group that are looking and using Rust. And using that to improve how software is being delivered and programmed, and ensuring that it's efficient and effective and doing all the right things. Some of the other things I want to talk about that we do in global technology within T.Rowe is that I'm proud to be a co-founder of Code Club. So with Laura Nyman, one of the other associates within T.Rowe that's joined relatively recently too, or 2 or 3 years, we set up a Code Club, and this was about offering people that have got experience. They could come and share that knowledge of Python, share that knowledge of Rust, share that knowledge of other things that they've done, functional programming, for instance, and just like codebar.io, I guess, and provide opportunities so people can learn from each other, and people can then also build up networks so that they're not afraid to ask for help, not afraid to actually go and walk over to someone's desk. Well, maybe we don't do that as much right now, but jump on a Zoom call and talk to someone. So it's building those networks across the organization, across the community of engineers that we have. And so that is, that's part of helping to build and cultivate, the pipeline of talent that we have, both in terms of new people coming into the organization, taking on their first dev or application and engineering role, but then also people that have been here a little bit longer, and also that have some of that knowledge embedded within their minds, that tacit knowledge, and it's an opportunity to dive into that and to share that across the group. And that was one of the talks this morning around not being afraid to ask, or framing the help that you need so that you can get what it is that you need. And I can't remember the name of the person who presented that this morning, but again, that was another awesome thing. So just want to share that. Hopefully that was useful and gives you a flavor of some of the things that we do from a global tech perspective, and in particular the area I work in, which is the dev services group. And so we look after the application devs, we look after the engineers within within the organization and provide them with tooling and products that they need so that they can fail fast, they can try things quickly, and they can do that with confidence and build up a community around that so that we can grow the workforce together and move it forward and get it as diverse and as collaborative as we possibly can. That's it.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. If anyone's got any questions for Jonathan, please drop them in the chat, in the session chat, and we will come back to that after. Okay, up next we've got John and Helen from IDBS. Then do you want to test out sharing or anything before we continue?
Thanks, Kimberly. I won't have any slides, but meanwhile, Helen, if you'd like to share screen, we can have your slide on the screen, and I'll start while we are waiting for that. Hi everyone. My name is John. It's pronounced as John because I'm originally from Turkey. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm the senior director in IDBS for engineering. I won't be sharing any slides. I just wanted to join in to welcome all of you and also to say a few words about why we are here. And to me, I see companies like IDBS or any organization or any entity as such as a small bricks making up the whole global society. So I think on top of our commercial targets, I believe it is our responsibility to do the right thing, supporting the right initiatives for the society as a whole. And that's the reason why we are here. That's why we are here supporting. And I want to welcome all of you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. And without taking too much time, I will just hand over to Helen. She's a very valuable member of our team and the best person to talk about what we do in IDBS.
Thanks, John. So just to introduce myself, first of all, and apologies for my voice, I've come down with a terrible cold, but I still wanted to be here today. My name is Helen Kurachitsky and my pronouns are she and her. I'm a customer success manager at IDBS, and I wanted to first of all introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my time at IDBS and how I've navigated the career jungle gym through my time here. And then I'll go on to talk a little bit more about IDBS and what we do and how we hopefully make a difference. So I've been at IDBS for just over 18 years, which I think in a lot of people's careers now seems crazy to spend so long at a company. A lot of people wonder why I've been at IDBS for so long. And I've been here because I've had the privilege to work at IDBS and I'm very passionate about what we do, but also IDBS is a great place to learn and grow. And there are so many opportunities that if you want to, you can embrace. So I originally started out as a molecular microbiologist and thought that lab life was for me. I soon found out that wasn't the case and I was interested in IT. So I started to look for careers and jobs that would combine an interest in life science, but also IT. And I was lucky enough to secure a position at IDBS as a software tester. And that's really where my career started. And I've gone on from being in the test team to program management, so overseeing the releases of our software, through to being a software development manager and overseeing some of the processes. So just really calling out there that you don't have to start a career in IT. You can kind of drift into IT and learn the skills, and with the right kind of support around you, whether that's your company or your peers, you can pick up the skills you need at any stage in your life. And most recently, I've moved over into the commercial part of our organization to build my skills there as a customer success manager. So I work with our customers to ensure that they realize the success they have from the investments they've made with our IDBS solutions. And that allows me to pull on the skill sets I've already gained in the technologies and our tools, but then also learn new skills about our commercial organization. So let me first of all go off to talk a little bit about IDBS. So at IDBS, we have a vision that we empower science to drive faster innovation. And our mission at IDBS is to create digital solutions for biopharma and other industries to achieve faster scientific breakthroughs. We like to develop innovative software focusing on scientific workflows and data management to deliver analysis, insight, and models that streamline operations and accelerate science. This slide here tells you just kind of a brief summary about us. So at the moment, we're growing quite rapidly, but we are just over 350 employees globally. And our software is used by over 50,000 scientists on a day-to-day basis through 250 companies across 25 countries globally. And my next slide will give you an idea of where our presence is across the globe. So for us as a company, we have offices in the UK. We have most recently, our official opening actually is on Tuesday this coming week, opened our new flagship office in Woking in Surrey. But we have offices in France and Germany, the East Coast in the USA and India. And then to expand that, we work with a partner network globally. And then for our software, as I said, we're deployed across 25 countries, but on all major continents, our software is used. And I think this gives just a really good graphic of where we are. Still plenty of places for us to explore and have new deployments, which we're all excited about. I can get my slides. So what companies do we work with? I thought this slide was a really good representation, and hopefully there's some brands here that you recommend. Probably most topical are the biotech Moderna and the pharmaceutical company Pfizer, who have recently developed some of the COVID vaccines that we have probably all been vaccinated with. But some of the other companies here and domains that you might recognize are things like large pharmaceutical companies. I'm certainly taking some of their cold medicine today for GSK and Roche. But we also work with consumer goods like the makeup and skincare product from L'Oreal. Sealy Beds use our software, presumably for testing their bed bouncing data. We also work with people like energy suppliers like Total and Shell. But you're probably wondering, well, how do you help these companies and what do you do? Well, we're really into data management. But what does data management mean? Here's an example scenario, hopefully a good graphic to give you an idea. So this is a typical lab scenario. Here's a scientist in their lab pipetting their samples. And the science is important, but supporting their data management is even more so. Good data management leads to better science and more efficiencies and therefore more time for better science. So here you can see on this slide some of the points where data management is involved in a scientist's day-to-day job and where IDBS helps support them, whether that's scheduling, data capture, reporting, inventory management, and sample management. They're all parts where our software can help make a scientist's life better and help them to do their job more efficiently. That's really a really brief whistle-stop tour as kind of what IDBS does. And I should also call out that we have a booth at the job fair this afternoon if you'd like to come and talk to us and find out more about careers at IDBS. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, both of these companies do have booths in the job fair that will be happening, well, starting in half an hour. So do make sure to drop into them and speak to them. Does anyone have any questions for either of our sponsors before we, maybe take a little bit of a break before the job fair starts? Any questions for them? Maybe about remote working, maybe the interview process, anything about these companies that you can think of that you want to know. Now's the time to pick their brain. Someone has said, what is the interview process? So Helen or John, do you want to go first?
I can explain quickly about the hiring process in engineering. So we first have a screening call, just a quick call between our HR partner and the candidate. And after that, it will be the interview with the hiring manager. And depending on the role, sometimes we have the peer of the hiring manager in the interview as well. And that's the final interview. So for roles like software developer or tester, we are talking about one interview with the hiring manager and a second eye together with the hiring manager at the same level. And for More senior roles like engineering manager roles, the screening process is the same with our HR partner. And then we have the same hiring manager interview process. But after that, we have a second level interview done by me. So we want to make it as quick as possible, the least number of interviews. And for associate level roles like software developer or tester roles, we also ask for a quick technical task to be delivered. But that's not something that takes a lot of time, something that's really short and quick, just to demonstrate how you approach the problem rather than the solution itself.
You're just on mute there,
Perfect.
Kimberly.
Yeah, sorry. Perfect. Thank you so much. It's actually, I've said that to people so many times, and I knew at some point I was going to do it. Thank you so much. Jonathan?
Yeah, it's a similar process too, right? We have an initial screening interview, just have a chat, and then through some feedback actually from one of these sessions last time around, we do offer a test for people to do, but some people don't necessarily like to have it sprung on them in an interview. So we actually give it so that, you know, people can go away, spend some time, do some research, and then come to the next, you know, come to the interview with their solution, or, you know, or make it a bit of open source that Navendu was talking about earlier. And so we can then just review and talk through the solution that's been put in place. We do try to keep it, you know, as kind of condensed and short as we can, because it's not only us having to give our time up, but also people are giving their time up to, you know, spend time with us. So that's very important. And I think also it's a two-way thing. You know, it's kind of, you're applying for a job, and I would say don't be afraid to apply for any job would be my advice. But it is a two-way process. You know, you've got to be happy and comfortable with the role, and also, you know, it's a two-way thing. So, you know, we have to be comfortable and happy with you too.
It's when I always say to people to definitely ask questions at the end as well, because I think that part of an interview is so important. Two people have asked about, you know, junior entry level roles. So, I mean, I guess this is something that you can probably talk a bit more about in the booth in the job fair. But yeah, someone has asked, are either of the companies hiring junior/entry roles?
Currently, we have one SRE role, but apart from that, we don't have junior roles at the moment. We had a few, but we filled them in the first 2 months of the year because we work with the universities, and that's where and when they start talking to us, and we reach out to them, and we start the interview process early in the year and finish our junior hires usually before March. So every year we go through that practice and we collaborate with universities. That's why they are closed, but it doesn't mean that we won't have any vacancies. It's quite dynamic. So watch out to our career pages. And that's for engineering only. So for other roles in other departments, there might be more openings. So I would highly suggest to look at the careers page in IDBS.
Then from a T.Rowe perspective, so Amy Juggins is going to be part of the code booth, of the recruitment fair booth, whatever it's been called, later on this afternoon. It can take you through. But we've got 4 or 5 positions there that we're going to share with you. But certainly we have an apprenticeship scheme both in the US and in the UK. We partner with Investment 2020 to help us look more locally in terms of getting people for that. We also have a grad scheme, and yes, we have some junior level or entry level dev type engineering roles that are available, and we've also got some senior type roles available for those coaches that are around on this session today as well. So, and it is, you know, it it is changeable. Things do change, you know, as new roles, just as Jan said, you know, as new roles come in, then we will raise more, and then we'll put those onto the website that we have as well.
Perfect. There was a discussion in the previous session around during the CV review hour about how to make yourself stand out if you don't have any technical experience with your CV. Does anyone have any tips on that? Because I know, you know, we were discussing a lot about like other ways to show off skills, and, you know, and so, yeah, I was wondering, you know, because I know as well from Codebar's experience that every time we put a junior ad out there, you know, we had a message once from someone saying, I've had 70 applicants in 2 days. Can you please remove this? So there are so many people looking for jobs that, as someone maybe who doesn't have any technical experience, but they've been learning, you know, through Codebar or at the sales or from a boot camp for, you know, a couple of months, have you got any advice for them to stand out against everybody else? Because I know it's so tough.
I think for me, showing your passion, so a covering letter or maybe your profile. I know a lot of CVs have that profile at the top. I mean, it's a long time ago now, but I made that jump from having no real IT experience. I could work Word, you know, and things like that, and I could type, but I came from a life sciences background into a company which, okay, worked with life sciences, but I had to show my passion for IT, and I didn't know a huge amount. I did a little bit of reading, but I think putting that passion across and how you can see yourself and your skills being useful to that company, whether that's, hey, I can use my science knowledge and apply it to this situation. Getting some of that background and that passion across, I think, really makes you stand out, rather than just a blanket, here's my CV. Really tailor it.
Thank you.
I certainly agree with that, Helen. Trying to get that passion across. If you care about something, it comes out in what you're talking, in how you talk, and how you try and use words like bootcamp, use words like codebar.io. They will help to, just, draw the attention, right? So yeah, I agree with what Helen was saying there, definitely.
Yeah, that was one topic of, you may be, teaching yourself to code for 6 months, but you can definitely come back to something like, I mentioned it in the previous session, Codebar, Code Your Future, Coding Black Females, Code First Girls. There are lots of organizations where you can actually start volunteering the technical skills that you have. And a lot of people think that in order to teach coding, you have to be a mid to senior developer, and that's not the case at all. Like, some of the best coaches at Codebar are people who are new to tech, who are fresh from boot camps, because it's so fresh in their memory. They've got the most empathy out of anyone because they're still going through it. And actually, in your CV, in your interview, if you're already giving back, then I think that sets you above, and it also shows that you have the technical communication skills, which are also incredibly difficult, talking about technical concepts. And so, yeah, I'm a strong advocate for like volunteering at organizations and giving back that way as a way to stand out. Because like you said, it also shows passion. I'm really passionate about this thing. I'm so passionate that I'm also teaching it at, even though I'm a junior, I'm also teaching it. Jan, do you have any advice for someone trying to stand out?
I think that the most important points are already made by Helen and by Jonathan, but I think what would help also to have some hobby projects or pet projects of your own, where you can both improve your skills and learn more, but also be very comfortable in sharing these, because when you have a hands-on a hobby project, the content and the product doesn't matter. But if you have something that you build yourself just as a hobby with using the right technologies, this will make you stand out, because you will have hands-on experience on building something on your own. And when you need to build it on your own, you will have to learn many different technologies on the way. And this will stand you out during the interview process, in your CV as well.
I think following on from that, if you've got, and I'm sure everyone has got their GitHub, just put that on your CV. If you've got those pet projects in there, immediately we're going to click on that and go and have a look through the code you've been writing and what you've shared, and that's a great way to stand out.
And most probably we will spend more time in looking at that than the time spent on the CV. We'll look at the CV for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but as technical people, like I'm from software development background, I'll be spending a lot of time in the GitHub to see and find it very interesting. Maybe we'll learn from your GitHub project.
I always think having like, 5 small repositories of like little code examples of like, I'm going for a front end role that's say JavaScript. If you can have all these little projects of like little things all related to JavaScript, I think are so important, because you're not going to have this link to maybe a live website that's like, I built this. But actually, I do have these examples of like, I do have these 5 examples. And like you said, looking through the code is super valuable. Jessica's just asked a really great question, which is your commit history really important?
Well, don't worry about it. We all forget putting commas, dotted commas, or doing wrong spelling in the method names and then figure it out and then correct it. So I wouldn't be that much worried about the mistakes you had in the commit history. We won't go back to the commit history and say, wow, how could he or she forgot that dot in that line? So you don't need to worry about that.
If it shows you're failing fast and learning from it, then that's all good, right?
Yeah.
And, if there's a funny commit message, maybe it's a funny talking point during the interview. Jessica, okay, so put it out there rather than worrying about being perfect. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And, and it all goes back to the conversation earlier, about failing and making mistakes. And actually, I was having a conversation with someone who hired a junior recently. And actually, one of the things to do with commit history that they said they really liked was this person had done a project 4 months ago, and then the latest commit was to the same project, but it was showing their JavaScript learning, and it was all the things they'd learned in that 4 months. So in this one commit history, they were able to show how much they'd learned just from this one project. And I was like, that's actually genius. Like, it's actually a really good way to demonstrate your learning through your Git history, to say, well, here's how much I've learned from, this JavaScript concept or something just from this Git history. And it was something I'd never considered. And someone said it to me, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, that's genius. I think that's a really good way to learn, like to show off your learning. Someone has asked about career changing. Do you have anyone who's career changing later? So maybe, over 40, anyone who's career changing at a later stage in their life, do you have any advice for them?
I would say go for it. I would say, again, don't be afraid. Just go for it. Do something that you enjoy, that you love, and just dive in, right? We are looking at a returners market as part of T.Rowe to try and see if we can offer some opportunities for those that, maybe for whatever reason are deciding to do something different. So that is something that's being explored.
I think I'm following on from that. It is just go for it. I also want to plug Brian Hobbs from IDBS is talking at the end of today about navigating the career jungle gym. And that's what you should think about for your career. There's no straight line for people's careers now. It is definitely horizontal, climbing that jungle gym. I mean, I've most recently moved from the engineering team to the commercial organization within IDBS. And although I'm using some of my similar skills that I had from engineering, I'm learning so much more about the commercial market. And it is scary to do that move, but you have to think about, I guess, also the skills that when you're changing career, there are so many transferable skills that you'll bring with you. And also you are valuable to the company you're going to, because we all know how a diverse group of people makes it stronger. So the skills you're going to bring from your career change are going to be so useful to the company that you're going to, or the organization you're going to transfer to. So it's also about, don't feel that you're going in cold. You're going to transfer so many skills. So thinking about what you're bringing to that role when you change, career and really pushing that. And again, that will make you stand out when you're maybe coming in with less technology skills because you're doing a career change.
And we have examples of it even in IDBS. I can talk about a few. I'm sure there are many, but we had a physics teacher now who is a part of our engineering team. And previously he has been a teacher, and then he had a career change later. And we had a marine. He was living in a submarine in the UK force, and he did a career change. He's a software developer now, a UI developer in our team. So these are possible, and we have examples of it. So it's not only words that are coming out of our mouths. Yeah, it is possible, go for it. It's not only motivational purposes. We have these people, so it does happen.
It just reminds me of within Dev Services Group in London, we have a drummer who is now a UI person. First thing we did was buy the record on vinyl, bring it into the office, get him to sign it. So
that's amazing. I always remember really vividly, just before lockdown hit, we were at a workshop in London, and this lady was 52 and she was a script writer for the BBC, and she was career changing, and she come up to me at the end of the workshop. She's like, "Thank you so much." She was like, "JavaScript is my baby." And I've never heard a programming language be described as that, but she fell in love with it. She'd absolutely fallen in love with learning, and she was 52, which goes to show you can do it. You can do it at any age. And yeah, echoing what Helen said, I think a lot of people that I speak to at codebar who are career changing, say who are over 35, they underestimate the experience that they have in life that's applicable to the job. And I think that's way more valuable than someone like me who, you know, went to uni and then started working, because my life experience, I didn't have much life experience. I don't have another industry where I gained experience. So I actually think so many people underestimate the experience that they have in life that's still applicable to a career change later on. So if you're here listening and you are, you know, career changing, please don't underestimate the skills that you have, because they are valuable, even if they're not like technical skills, like they are still valuable. Someone has asked about remote working, but what we'll do is we'll leave that question for the job fair, because I think that's quite a nice thing to go and discuss, like individually with the companies taking part. Are there any other questions for you know, T.Rowe Price or IDBS before we head off? Or does any of the sponsor companies offer work visas for the junior roles? Asking as a Canadian, this person has said.
We have recently actually hired someone from India and provided a visa, but we are looking at it on a role-by-role basis. So we are not advertising all of the roles globally with sponsorship available. So it depends on the role that's advertised and that's open. But we had that specific role that we provided sponsorship. But apart from that single one, in the last 3 months, we didn't have that option. So it depends on the role.
I have no idea. Oh, I'm sorry, Helen.
Sorry,
Helen.
you go first.
From a T.Rowe perspective, I have no idea. However, Amy Juggins should have an idea. So if you want to join and ask her, that'd be a great first question.
I was just going to add, from an IDBS perspective, as I shared on my slides, we are a global company with offices all over the world, and we are, I didn't go into our presentation, but we are an operating company with underneath Danaher, which you probably hear everyone's like, who the hell are Danaher? I've not heard of them before, but they run lots of other operating companies. Pantone, the people who do all the colour of the year, they're one of the Danaher companies as well. There are lots of those, and our company, because we have such a global presence underneath Danaher, we have a lot of people work globally. So I have a Canadian that I work with in my customer success team, and she's based out of Canada, but she works via one of our other operating companies, which allows her to work with IDBS. So I I think you can think more than just the visa part. You can think about how can I work with a company when they have a global presence. And I think it will segue us nice into the careers fair, where when you talk about remote working, because we're all much more familiar with it post-pandemic. And I think it's opened up so much more options for people to work with global companies.